Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, did I understand you to say that the reconciliation bill is the most extraordinary legislation you've ever seen? Did I hear that correctly?
There may have been some lost in translation
I
there.
understand. I was a little late.
Welcome back to Hot News Today, where Washington's theater meets straight talk. Today, Senator John Kennedy turns up the heat on Fed Chair Jerome Powell. From the dollar's nosedive to inflation chaos, this exchange has it all. Buckle up, I'm breaking it down in 5 fast segments. Did you just endorse that bill? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did I hear you say the reconciliation bill is the most extraordinary legislation you've ever seen? Wait, what? Kennedy presses Powell. Did he just endorse a massive spending bill? Powell quickly tries to walk it back, classic Fed speak. When you're the Fed chair, every word can move markets. Did he slip up, or say what he really thinks? What's the bond market telling us? Kennedy zeroes in on the bond market, asking Powell, what's it telling you?
Tell me what the bond market's telling you.
Bond market's fine now, functioning well. It's pricing, it's reacting to economic news. There's adequate liquidity. Rates have come down pretty significantly from where they were a couple months ago. So I think I think inflation expectations have come down a bit from April, and in general, the bond market is functioning well.
Okay. Explain to me why we have seen in the last few months weakness in the dollar.
Why is the dollar weak? Things get tense. Kennedy asks bluntly, why the weakness?
That's a great question. And of course, the Treasury Department is responsible for the role of the dollar. So I don't know. I think I would go back to the thought that markets have been digesting an unusually challenging set of circumstances, and have reacted the way they've reacted. The dollar's kind of stabilized now. In fact, it's moved back up here in the last couple of weeks a bit. And there are plenty of people who are still writing that the dollar is still overvalued. We don't have a view on that, of course, but I wouldn't really have an opinion on exactly why it is where it is.
Well, clearly there's a lot of geopolitical risk right now, which would lead one to conclude, all things being equal, that people would be flocking to the dollar and it would be stronger.
Well, you have seen some of that here in the last few days, but again, I don't really have an official view I'd like to share on that. I think there are possible explanations, multiple possible explanations. Again, one of which is that some people still feel the dollar is highly valued.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Is the Fed out of touch or just avoiding bad news? Tariffs, inflation, and economic fantasy. This part was on fire. Kennedy pulls back the curtain on the White House's trade plans. Let's talk tariffs.
What does history tell us about tariffs and its impact on inflation or deflation?
So the thing is, we've been through a long period in which tariffs were going down. Remember, since World War II, really, it's been a process of lowering tariffs globally. So there just isn't a lot of modern learning on that. I think people look at the incidence of tariffs during the president's first term, but those were like 1/6 the size of what's people are estimating now, and they do find some effects on inflation. But remember, in 2019, when those tariffs were put into place, the economy was slowing. We actually cut rates 3 times. Inflation was running at 1.5%. So it was a very different time. This is different. I think one of the reasons why it's so challenging is that there really isn't a modern precedent. Yeah. And I think we have to be humble about our estimates, and we are very open to the possibility that transmission through into inflation will be less than we think, or maybe more than we think, which is why we're in a position of wanting to take our time and make a smart decision as we see how this unfolds.
Well, obviously the size of the tariffs makes a difference, does it not?
It does.
And we don't know yet the size of the tariff.
We don't. And we don't have a view on any of the merits at all. That's not our job. Our job is inflation, as you know, and maximum employment.
The price of political games. Kennedy ties it all together. Tariffs, inflation, employment, and politics.
If the president's trade negotiators pursue reciprocity, which I define as both sides reducing, in a quid pro quo, reducing tariffs and trade barriers as much as possible. Ideally, in a perfect world, we would end up with 2 sides with 0 tariffs and 0 trade barriers. Would that be inflationary?
No, not at all.
That would cause the economy to roar, wouldn't it?
I think it would be.
So what did we learn? Jerome Powell is calm, calculated, and maybe too cautious. Senator Kennedy, he's not afraid to ask what we're all thinking. Is the Fed in control or just reacting? Is DC helping or hurting? Will tariffs crush the economy? Or are we already halfway there? Subscribe for more sharp analysis and real talk from Capitol Hill. Stay tuned.